have 3 scripts today, 3 wonderful scripts from writers waiting for feedback from Deborah, Alex, and Stephen. And so as most of you are aware, but we'll just go over just for refresher's sake. We have 2 rounds of peer reviewing. The first round are the positives, what we liked about the script, what was most resonating with us. And round 2 is the big one with needs for critique and questions from the author about character, scenes, etc., all that. And again, I'll reiterate, if at any time you agree with the feedback that another member is giving on a certain aspect, by all means let that be known, because consensus really helps out a writer in the revision process and updating and just becoming a better writer with getting a consensus from their peers. And so anyway, yep, as I said at the top, we have 3 scripts. Any one of the authors want to volunteer to go first?
Sure.
All right, Alex. So we have Alex's horror script, Revenge, and he'll take suggestions on title changes. But as I said, we have 2 rounds. We start with the first round with the positives. Anyone want to start us off with that? Okay, well, no, I'll just say, just very quickly, Deb, I'll just say vast improvement from the first works that you submitted to the group in terms of grammar, formatting, and all that. You definitely improved tenfold in every aspect. It's much more original. It wasn't just a mashup of Halloween and Friday the 13th. So it's much more original than that. You vastly improved your writing, and I was engaged for the most parts of where you were taking this. But yeah, just general idea, vast improvement in your writing from your previous entries.
Yeah, wait till you read Act 2. That's the final inclusion.
Yeah, so I have to agree with Jeff that right off the bat, before reading a word of it, I noticed the formatting is vastly improved from the first time, and also grammar and everything, spelling, and it just made it so much easier to read and to get through. And like he said too, it's original. So this is very. I just have to say, man, good job.
Thank you, Kiana. Yeah, actually, I had to say thank you both to him for suggesting of Grammarly, because I mean, Grammarly had helped my work when I was writing paper, and I was hesitant to use it in the beginning because, sometimes in some of the action sequence, they will suggest ED, and I always try to avoid that as much as I can because you want to keep it present. But yeah, it helped me a lot.
Yeah, there's some, spell check things that are better than most, but I definitely recommend always Grammarly, especially for someone like you that's just starting out. It really helped you out in terms of keeping everything together in terms of grammar and everything. But yeah, and also having somebody else read the work, like you said, your grandma was able to be able to read. Yeah, that's also very helpful too. So yeah, but again, just vast improvement all around in the way you write.
I have a question. What script writing software are you using?
Final Draft. Originally, I done with Writer Duet, but I cannot be able to download that app because on my Mac. So when I was still working, I had enough money to buy Final Draft, download that, because that's one of the most popular one. Because I did do a trial one. I just I'm used to this, so I was like, I'll buy Final Draft 11. Yeah.
So see how much of a difference it made when you invest in yourself. So that's all I gotta say. Yep.
Oh yeah.
I agree with everything that's been said. Vast improvement over your previous script. I like the story. I want to find out who's going to get snuffed next.
Oh, wait till you read Act 2, Steven. Yeah, if you have any other suggestions for making them any interest, I knew get a horror.
Here's a title for you. Invitation only.
Oh, that's a good one.
Love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually sound much better. Invitation.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Invitation only.
Okay, yeah.
I also, I'm sorry, Steve, are you finished?
I'm all done.
Oh, okay. I just want to say, Alex, you're a natural storyteller because you get right into the characters and you describe them, and You have that expose where, you sort of give a little bit, you reveal their character really well.
Thank you.
I was intrigued. I understand that, you're first, you're a filmmaker that's just starting, screenwriter that's just starting out. But I was really intrigued with how you tell your stories, the parents, and how Lindsay and Katie. I mean, it was really a great way to to start this horror story. So you're a natural storyteller. Because trust me, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've seen some folks who cannot tell a story.
Thank you, Deborah. Actually, I forgot to mention, I'm also an aspiring filmmaker, and I actually made a few shorts that I'm real proud of. One was a stop motion with toy figures with my friends called Dinosaur T-Rex versus Superheroes, where the T-Rex run. Then I did a documentary about my grandfather escaping the Holocaust for a school project, which is on my YouTube channel. And the last one, and the two others I did one was called The Door, which was an amateur film where I actually film myself. I go through a door and I always end up in somewhere different in the house. And the last one was my capstone project. It's called Double or Nothing, but originally it was called 21 for Love. But because of COVID happening, I could not finish the rest of the scene. So I got the gambling scene, which was done. So yeah, I'll put down, maybe later today, maybe before the meeting ends, I'll put my YouTube channel in there if anyone wants to look at some of my videos.
Absolutely, yeah. Share the link. Share the links. Yeah, I think that's just the overall, my overall thing. Yeah, if you have something, share the links. And
I'd love to hear anyone's comments in that about this my project. But yeah, thank you again for the compliment, Deborah, and thank you for starting this group. I've been improving a lot with this group.
That's good. That was the whole point. Thank you. My cats just fell. I gotta go quickly. But anyway.
Okay, go ahead. If you need to check on them, go ahead. Yeah. Your camera, your mic. All right.
Yeah.
She'll be back. All right.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Stephen. I like that.
I have a title suggestion for you.
A title suggestion, VJ? Okay.
Yeah, one that I thought I would use sometime, but if you want to use it, it's Revengeance.
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 Oh, Revengeance. Oh.
Revenge plus vengeance.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. But I'm liking the invitation only. That's not. But thank you again. All right.
Okay. We all set with round one then for Alex? Going once, going twice. Okay, and we're on.
I just want to say, wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say that sorry, I'm like dazing. No, I like the story the way it's coming forward. I like the story, and I like that you're spending time trying to reveal the characters. I do like those.
Thank you, Ross. Yeah, I've been reading Sid. One of the books I've read about screenwriting was Sid Fields. I don't know if any of you guys, yeah. So I felt like I've been learning that you want to slowly introduce your characters, but not reveal too much at the beginning or end. And I just want to keep like a natural pace, like get them entrance, but not make them lose interest because it'll be too hard. So sort of building up the dramatics and yeah.
Yeah. All right. Round one, going once, going twice. All right. We're on to critiques, needs for improvement, questions for Alex. Anyone want to volunteer to start us off there?
I just want to say something very simple. The cut two, you don't need those.
Okay, so get rid of
get rid of those. And I see at the end, just like when you go through your script, there's some things that got out of formatting. One of the characters it wasn't formatted correctly, so you could just Archie says Archie, voiceover hello on page. What page is this? Page 8. Okay, Archie should be centered. So you probably didn't realize that. So and then later on it says Archie voiceover, it's not, it's kind of, you lost a format a little bit.
Okay.
So just minor stuff, yeah.
Okay.
I also just wanted to say, I don't know if you all are still doing the format, but as a writer being critiqued, I think it's best to listen to the critique and write down the notes, as opposed to sometimes, you want to defend your, your script, your story. But I think it makes sense, especially for time's sake, particularly for those who might not have read the script. I think it's better just to listen. I know I will be quiet. You all can tear apart my script. That's okay. I've had that for a while. But I think it's important, and this is just a suggestion because I know Kenyatta and Jeff have been handling it. God knows I see all of you folks here, so they're doing something right. But I'm just saying that it's really good just to kind of, get the critique and listen for what they're saying and not try to respond until the end, and then you can respond. But I wanted to mention that because your storytelling, and I understand as a writer, Alex, when you start writing, you just, you get excited and passionate and you just start writing your characters, etc. But I think a lot of it is cerebral. It's like reading a novel. And the bottom line is, when writing a script, because, I taught a beginner intro to screenplay writing, and I know it's tough to get out of your head and write visually. So a lot of things were how you would read a novel. And if you, again, because this is a visual medium, I think it's incredibly important to keep that in mind. And I will point out some of those things, Alex, and send you, because when you have a natural storyteller, you have a tendency to want to say what's in the character's head, as opposed to showing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So in an instance, it's about showing, not telling.
Okay.
So, and that's a skill. Trust me, I'm guilty of it too, because there's some parts of my script that some of the critiquers will say, "Well, Deb, you were sort of a cerebral writer too." So I'm, guilty of it as well, because sometimes you're just writing. So get out of your head, make sure the character you're showing as opposed to telling.
Okay.
Yeah, but good.
Yeah,
job.
thank you. Okay, that's why I have tried it done in the past, like, not to do so much novelizing, but more like visually. And I'm sure I knew I may have missed a thing or two in there, but yeah, so I was always trying to show through it and not give too much details of stuff.
Right. And I don't know if you have David Trottier's screenwriting Bible. That's a great way, because when I was a first-time screenwriter, I was saying, how do I write somebody being on a telephone? Now, how do I do that? David, matter of fact, I interviewed him for a magazine, and he was so generous. He has a website that has lots of information. But if you get the Screenwriter's Bible, it really will help you, because he really emphasizes how to show something as opposed to writing and telling something. So I would strongly suggest that. And
can you write that down in the group chat so I can copy it down?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. That's very that's very helpful.
You want to go? Yeah, you can go, Irene.
Yeah. Alex, this is really good with the characters as they're talking to each other and responding to each other. I have a suggestion for you.
Sure, I'm listening.
As the characters are talking, and this may be a little bit related to what Deborah was saying, just writing from your mind and putting it directly, as you hear it in your mind to the fingers as you type. But sometimes when we're talking to each other, our conversation has, these little changes that aren't very organized. So we'll use a lot of contractions, we'll use some slang here and there. Instead of answering in full sentences, we might say a word or two just to answer a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that some of the speech or some of the dialogue in your script is not as natural as I would expect it to be. And there are some good ways to be able to get natural writing into your script. Observing people as they talk in casual environment is really good. having a table read is really good because as actors are reading the dialogue out loud, you can kind of hear it and see, is this something that character would really say or not? And then just having other people, what you're doing now, just like keep showing it to people who are also writers, and people can give you some suggestions about natural speech.
Okay. That's very helpful. Thank you, Ross.
Yeah, I'll go off of, let me just, I'll let you go after Stephen. Yeah, I'll go off of that. You need to reduce the dialogue between some of these characters because it's just a lot of back and forth with just reconfirming and confirming like information that's always been presented. You just need to reduce the dialogue between these characters because you need to get to the, the wooden, you need to get to the main attraction like quicker because you get to it at around page 30.
Mhm.
That's 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, give or take. And I think it's actually longer because you have so much dialogue between characters. You need to get to that wooden house a little bit faster than that.
Okay.
And listen, it's good that you're setting up these characters because I much prefer that rather than just, we start in right in the middle of things, with the with blood and the guts. I'm all for setting up characters and setting up their character arcs, but you need to reduce the dialogue a little bit, and so we can get to like the main attraction faster.
All right, reduce the dialogues.
Right. And that's sort of what Irene was saying. Just say these things in your head. Like, is this something that two people that know each other would be saying back and forth to each other, or is this? Are you just trying to get exposition out? And that's the name of the game in screenwriting. But yeah, that's definitely something that'll help you out because there's just a lot of like superfluous dialogue that you just don't need. That you can just reduce it in so many places between characters.
Okay.
Alex, I have a suggestion for your opening.
Sure.
I was waiting for something to happen in that first scene with the figure. I'd start off with the suicide of Piper.
Oh,
that's going to set the whole movie in motion. And that's going to grip you. That's going to grip your audience big time. The other thing I had issue with was you got these three girls who are in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all going to this weekend party at a house, but nobody knows the address. Nobody knows the parents.
Why did they go? Yeah, why did they go to the house?
And the thing is, what triggered me on that was that there's a note that comes. The mother picks it up and she calls her husband immediately, and he's a cop. And so when she comes home and they're confronting her about the note, she says, "Can we talk about this later?" If I was a parent, I'd say, "We're talking about this now. You ain't going, period." So here's a solution. Put her in college. Put her in college.
That sounds better.
Put her in college and have it taking place not in this dirty mansion, but this maybe a penthouse somewhere, or it's maybe they go to school in California and it's going to be a mansion somewhere in the Hollywood Hills. And to entice the guests, maybe there's a raffle and the winner's going to get a brand new car. You need to bring people into this. So
thank you, Steve. I knew there was some reason why you're still in the group.
They haven't kicked me out yet.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I was thinking of a new car, raffle, bring your invitation. That's your raffle ticket.
Okay.
And put them in college. I would definitely put them in college.
All right. So,
but keep going. I like the idea. And also, yeah, I want to see bodies start falling earlier on. I mean, have them knock out the cell tower, have them chop the tree down or something. Or maybe it's a road. Maybe it's a place out of the way. It's a mansion on a hill. And maybe they go to start their cars up and none of them start. Or something. I mean, you can play around with that.
Okay.
Definitely put them in college.
All right, I'll definitely use that. That actually sounds much more.
Yeah, it's more real. Otherwise, if I'm a cop and my daughter gets an invitation to a party and it's for a weekend and she's 17, you ain't going. You ain't going. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not even if it's a cop. I mean, I had two teenage daughters.
Oh, right.
No way that I would allow them to go. So
Agreed,
I meant to add that. I meant to add that,
Yeah,
Alex.
but a cop especially, a cop, especially, I mean, no parent would let their kid go, but especially,
but-
a cop, it's like, oh, no.
Well, then again, I mean, I don't have kids, so I didn't know how to react to that. So
Put her in
thank you both.
college.
That's always good. That's very helpful.
In college.
Yeah, that confused me too, that part of the story. It's like Steven saying and Deborah was saying, all right, the parents know that there's this invitation and it's not saying where it is, who it is, and then they allowed the daughter to go and she's only 17. So that confused me and I couldn't figure it out, but I think if you rewrite that.
Yeah, I'll rewrite that. Make them the college and there's something at the end.
No
Okay.
parents, and is it necessary that we need to see the mom and dad? I mean, I know the father's a cop, but do we know?
Well,
Except the interactions with their parents, we see they get along with their parents, which is nice.
well, I mean, it kind of, well, maybe not the mother as much, but I felt like she plays a role in the film, just because otherwise, I mean, she's there most at the house because she's an artist. That's her job. So she usually checks in the mail whenever she's off work and all that stuff. So yeah, she does play a role, even though it's not a big one, like the dad. So yeah.
Yeah, that would have been my question, Alex. Yeah, you need to either age these girls up or I don't know, have them just be like just the parents just need to be out of the picture or something like that. Because I mean, it's a horror trope. Yeah, why do you go to the shady house at midnight for this party? But yeah, come on, you can make it a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a college style. I think because I think that'd be more fitting to the bill than high school.
Sounds
So
good.
I'll rewrite everyone's age up a bit.
Yeah.
Make it. But yeah, I'm definitely so I think that's a better suggestion. I also like the opening scene with the suicide start off, then trigger that. So yeah, thank you, Steve. That's very helpful.
Yeah, for horror, you need that hook.
Yeah.
You need to start off, because I'm assuming you watch a lot of horror films, right?
Yeah, you can thank my cousin Miriam for getting me into it.
Yeah, so if you notice, like every horror film that you watch, there's some kind of beginning, and then it goes into the film. It always starts off with something just to hook you in.
Yeah.
And just for a last comment, don't beat me up, everybody, but no Black girl is going to be called Katie. So I think you might want to give the African-American young woman another name.
Do you have any suggestions? Because
I would say Khadija or Flo, hey Flo, but
Flo sounds old though.
No, I have students that are I'm in a college environment, so and I can think of a list of names, Alex, that I can forward to you. But I'm just saying, I'm probably, I'm the only sister here, so I'm just saying that I have, with my years of experience, and I'm a great grandmother, I haven't run into too many sisters called Katie. That's what I'm saying. So.
Well, yeah, okay.
So also too, you can look up, when I think of coming up names with characters, you could actually Google Black girl names. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you could do that as well. You could do that with any ethnicity, I mean, just in case, if you're writing something of different ethnicities other than yourself. Yeah, so that's just a resource.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to try to be more diverse and open to different things as real world, make it real as possible, because, I mean, when I want to see, like, every, most movies use a lot of male, white mainly, and just that. I mean, there are new filmmakers such as Jordan Peele who use African-American protagonists, or there's other people use, LGBT themes in these, and I want to try incorporate that in my film, but also use real lives. So that's why. But yeah, thank you. I'm really enjoying these feedbacks. These are very helpful for me.
Right. Anything else for Alex? Going once?
Well, I noticed we were talking a little bit about the dialogue. The other thing too is I just noticed at the beginning of the dialogue, it was a little bit on nose for me, especially on the first page. It was so I was just saying, when you rewriting people characters a little more, it was just like it's our first big game comeback. We're talking about we have been playing now for 3 years. Since the pandemic. It was just maybe
I'll share the screen because this is exactly what I was talking about also, Barry.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, you see it? Yeah. So yeah, this whole thing with this whole exchange right here is kind of what I think what Barry and I are getting at, like this whole exchange, like the
too long.
Oh, what are you talking about? We have been what's the point? What am I missing? Yeah, it's just too long. Like
okay.
Especially for people that know each other. Like you have to imagine that there's a shorthand between these two people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not really length. It's more it's not about length. It's more about like information. Like if you're talking to somebody, already knows. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at a film, you could kind of tell about there's bad dialogue. Like let's say you have a movie and you have two brothers talking, and you said, "Oh, Dad died 10 years ago. Are you still not over that?" Blah blah blah. So it's like they both know. You get what I'm saying? So like they're discussing information they're already aware of. So it's kind of, it almost feels like you're supplying exposition to the audience. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. So just cut out all that information, try to shorten it and just show it, not tell it.
Yeah, just keep in mind, like, if it's information they already know, so they're operating off the information they already know, because the way he's talking is like, they're supplying information to somebody who doesn't know these things.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Kiana. That's very helpful.
Alex, one more thing.
Sure.
All these girls sound the same. I mean, you could put Betsy with Lindsay, So what I would suggest is maybe as an exercise, have one talk very flowery and the other one's really sharp with maybe 1 or 2 words per sentence, just as an experiment, just so you can get a sense of their personalities a little bit more and think about how they would actually speak. I mean, maybe one's more angry or something, or bitter or something. I mean, that's your call, but just kind of give them each person their own distinct voice.
Okay. Speaking of which, you think I should get the betterness to the Mean Girls group?
Or just something, just something to differentiate all. Just give them some personality, like.
Betty's so concerned about appearance. How do I look? Don't you love my dress? And Lindsay is more grounded, I think.
Yeah.
And Katie's maybe more of a realist. Maybe Katie's going to point out things to Betty. I want to see conflict too. There was not a whole lot of conflict in that opening scene.
I guess not. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I was trying to say the conflict when they're all put up together into a situation.
That's when you ramp up the conflict.
Okay, so give it a little okay.
They're friends. They're gonna pick on each other. They're gonna, oh, come on, Lindsay, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna buy another dress? Really? That kind of thing.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
So it'll give them more of a personality. I want to get more a sense of a personality with these girls.
Okay.
Because if I do, then when they start getting bumped off, I'm going to feel more for them. Then it's like, oh, man.
No, don't feel sorry for the Mean Girls. They're getting bumped off first. Well, you already read that. Yes. Speaking of which, you think the poison for the leader of the Mean Girl was just too subtle, or does anyone have a different idea?
I don't know, but I would just say that what Stephen is saying, I think script writing and movies are all about emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, you want the Mean Girls, you want the people watching the film to be glad that the Mean Girls get killed. But then you want them to be sad or unhappy when the nice girls get killed. You want to make them feel something, whether it's terror or, you just want to make them feel something. If you make them feel, you succeed.
Okay. Thank you, guys. This is very helpful.
Here, I kind of jumped in on. I didn't know if you were finished or not with your assessment. Barry? Yeah, I didn't kind of jumped in on your.
No, that's fine. No,
Okay.
that's fine.
I didn't know if you were done or not.
No, I think everyone pretty much pointed out some of the same stuff I was going to. The only side thing I was going to say is some of that formatting. I think it's just on final draft. It's just a matter of selecting what kind of element it is, whether it's dialogue or action, and then it'll automatically, format it for you. Maybe that just wasn't selected as a I forgot the name of the character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't format? Yeah. That's it.
And also too, instead of thinking of a character as mean girl, because you don't want to have the cardboard cutout of a caricature of a person. You gotta think about why that person. You gotta think deeper into the person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So not just have mean girl, because that's kind of like having a villain who wears a black hat. you know what I'm saying? And then you have this cardboard cutout of a villain. So if you want to give a little bit more substance to that person, you got, why is the person, why do they act the way they act?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So kind of flesh it out a little bit instead of, mean girl, nice girl. So give that person some kind of philosophy, what is that worldview? What the way they act, where does that come from?
Okay. Thank you, Kiana. That's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Yep.
All right. We all set with that? There?
Sure, I'll start. I actually have to say, I cannot stop reading this, and it was very, emotional, and find out that some of the stuff did happen. Because when I first saw Argo, because again, there's stuff I see like Argo and all the other stuff that based on real life events. It really like I was actually part of that, and I say kudos to you. This is very powerful stuff. I really like it.
Yep, I'll jump off of that. I really love. This is my second round with this script. I don't even know how the first time it must have been going on 3 years now when you first submitted it to the group. Yeah, I really like this script. You took a little bit of Kenyatta and I's critiques before you submitted it. That was great to see. It definitely flows much better from at least from my perspective. I love all the characters. All the characters we're supposed to like, of course. It's definitely a pressing story. It's very, it gets intense, but at the same time, you really are guided along with the characters into this world and into this story that is very sordid and very very evil, but at the same time, you give us characters to help us guide along. And I think that's the most important thing in any sort of these crime stories, is to give us a real hero to root for. And that's definitely it with Detective Johnson.
Yeah, I echo all that. I also like the fact that history is going to repeat itself here, which is really intriguing. Her mother had a nervous breakdown. Question I'm asking is, what's going to happen with Crystal? Is she going to get beaten like her mother? Is she going to win out? So we're rooting for her even more because her mother wasn't able to solve it, and now she's got an opportunity to solve it. So I like that, and I love the organ transplant angle. I love it. And the other thing I like is when the head officer, I forget his name, says, "Let the feds take over," and that I believe that. It was like, I believed it. I believe that's policy, but I also believe that he's trying to cover up something. And that was a really good way of kicking him off the case. So great story.
Sorry, Gary, did you have your hand up? Go ahead. Okay. I was gonna say, I love a good mystery. And one of my favorite parts of it was just like, I love the clues where he goes, these things don't make sense. A note, black rose, recent sexual activity, kidneys missing. What a great combination of elements. So I thought that was really good. I like how the characters, they, the older ones feel old, the younger ones feel young. So that's great. And also another thing I loved about too is right when everything was coming together, you did a nice job of recapping whose character is doing what. Because I was just starting to get kind of lost. Okay, this character is this, and you did a nice job. Okay, of just re-summarizing that without sounding too expository. So that was really good.
I love what I've read already too. It just flows naturally. I don't get stuck anywhere. So she starts off in Nevada, and then that the conflict that she has with the captain there, and then she moves here, and then we see the mother, and then the interaction, and then clues are given. Well, this happened to her mom, and look at the way she's being treated. The last male captain hated her. Now here she is in Boston, and he's trying to get rid of her. Oh, we'll give it to the feds. Kind of overlooking her again, and she is a female. So I love the repetition, and it just makes sense. It's really naturally unfolding, and I love the female characters, and I'm so glad that we get to see Crystal's mom in this. I really like I like that you did that. I like the back and forth there too. So I think this is great. It's coming along.
I have to agree. I think the characters are very well done. I love that Crystal has a backstory. I love her interactions with her son and her mom. And I think that, what you're writing is true about some of the difficulties that Black and brown women have, just in their work, and as things are changing and she's trying to catch up, and that she, you showed that she also has an emotional side. I felt that was very genuine. A good job on the characters.
I have to reiterate everything that everyone else said. It was a really good read. It kept me captivated, and I don't say that often. Although I do have to admit that crime drama is right up my alley. I love that stuff. And Deborah, you just did a really awesome job at it.
This is overwhelming. Thank you all. These comments, I had to write them down. I'm so glad you're recording this.
My biggest complaint is that it ended. It's like, where's the rest? No, where's the rest?
More. You want more. That's the best. That's the best compliment. You want more from the script rather than just it ending. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Again, to reiterate, I also love the characters. I do think that you have an original voice as a writer, and to see minority character, and that too, you can tell that men write women differently than women write women. So I mean, this is something that only you could write. So I really enjoyed the authenticity and the characterization, as everyone else did.
Wow, thank you, Vijay. Thank you all. It's emotional hearing these responses, but I can't wait to hear the next part.
Well, wait till the next part. Yeah, I was just going to say wait till the next part. Then go on for.
But thank you all. Incredibly important.
I just want to make sure. Are we all set with round one for Deb? Going once, twice. All right. So yeah, get your seatbelt on, Deborah. No, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it won't go over too bad. But round two, needs for improvement, critiques, questions for Deborah. So I'll start off just a little bit. All mine are just a little like just little factual little things that would just improve it. So there's the cop myth that you have to do the Miranda rights for every single arrest you make. No, that's not true. It's only when you go back to interrogate someone that you need to read them the Miranda rights, and that's on 32, right before they take in Bucky. Because they're going back to interrogate him, you just need to have them read his Miranda rights. Otherwise, nothing he says is admissible in court. So that's just that's just.
Just for correction, you're saying that they should not be read?
No. You have to read them the Miranda rights if you go back to interrogate.
So I should have inserted that.
Yes, you need. So you need to have just a quick little. You have the right to remain silent. All that jazz. Yeah, you don't need. Yeah, it's sort of a little myth about law enforcement. You don't need to read that every single time making an arrest. It's just only when you go back to interrogate them back at the police station or other places, because you need to be able to know that you have the right to an attorney, you have the right to remain silent, and all that. But I just wanted to ask, like, so how did because organ donors those are heavily regulated and everything. So how did Payne get to the top of that kidney donor list? I know how he got the kidneys, but at the same time, how did he get?
That's the whole mystery. That's what
right.
is going to be solved. I mean, he is a high-end former commissioner,
Correct.
so he already had 2 detectives. You heard Crystal when she said, "Wow, nepotism, no body and 2 detectives on the case." So, and that's the mystery that we're actually going to solve. How did that happen?
Right. Okay. All right.
So,
yeah.
I can chime in right there, because that's actually 2 different points. One, in the script where it says, wow, 2 detectives, blah, 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 blah. It's not clear to me that there's actually going to be 2 detectives yet. You don't know that she's going to be working on the case with a partner. So that statement seems a little out of context.
okay.
And damn, Jeff, you said something that I wanted to comment on also. Now I forgot what I was going to say. But
about the Miranda rights?
Oh, that whole scene where they leave with Bunky. One, I wish we knew how old Bunky is. There's no indication of how old he is. And 2, we don't know where they're going. We don't know if they're arresting him, if they're taking him in for questioning. We don't really know where they're going or why. They just leave with him. And that's kind of abrupt and unclear. Sorry, those were the 2 points that came up.
Oh, don't be sorry, please. Yeah, that's right. I didn't put age on Bunky.
Hey, Deborah, I have a question about the 2 detectives that are put on. Why are 2 African-American detectives put on this case?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I actually had questioned. I had one of my students when I was teaching at the network. I was teaching beginner screenplay writing, and he was a Boston detective. And oh boy, did I get into his case and find out. I said, can they assign 2 Black detectives? He said, oh yeah. He said, especially if it's if the victim is African-American, they can do that. But I did want to, my reason for it, I did want to have some kind of love interest, because that Crystal was crushed when her husband left. So, so I was trying to kind of ease in a love story, and make it a little bit lighter. So,
well, it's the captain who's assigning, right? And he's assigning, and he already knows that he's covering up something. So
exactly,
he's taking a huge risk just by assigning them. So that was a little bit fishy to me. I thought maybe if he received a negative review or a negative introduction about Crystal from the old police captain, then maybe he could justify by putting, his one available officer, Detective Morris, and the new kid who doesn't know anything. But still, maybe you can address why he thinks it's okay to put such a high profile and such a corrupt case to 2 people who most likely would be very interested in solving it.
Or that because of nepotism and racism in the Boston Police Department, maybe they know that they can control them if they do get too far. That might be, another angle.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, go on, Irene. I like what you're saying. Because
so is when the case is assigned to them, is he going to tell them, you have other cases that are more important. We just need to do the paperwork on this or something like that. I mean, is he going
to? I think that the excuse was that, organ harvesting is a federal crime. And so I had to look that up on my own to figure out, because I was trying to find a way out, how can I piss off the detectives and show that there is a cover up? And that was sort of my out. But if you all have any other suggestions, I am open. Definitely.
Yeah, I just read it as the captain doesn't know how related everything is to the bigger, organ, the organ trade, or the organ, underground organ replacement thing. I just they didn't know. And then after they found out too much, he had to reassign them because of pressure from somebody, either That's the way I read it, at least.
Yeah, I think it was sort of, I don't think they expected to, they just expected to find a dead body. I don't think they expected to find the missing kidney. So in that case, it's sort of, I mean, it's an out for the captain because, you know, he can reassign, but you know, and I have to say I'm grateful for Kenyatta because he sent me, when he read the script, he sent me a police guideline so that, you know, I can incorporate that so into the script, because some of the questions that you all have, I was sort of, you know, as a writer, I was just, oh, well, maybe this should happen, or yeah, okay, then let me add this. But to make it authentic, I think I really need to, you know, to rely on that police guideline, because when I was reading Steve's script, I can't wait to review his, it was like, whoa, I need to be on that level, you know, to you know, to make sure that I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's, because some of the stuff is just a writer. So there's one thing that you get the artistic writer's perspective, and there's another thing about what is the authenticity of what really happens. And then you have to, you know, as a writer, you have to, you know, really think how I can approach it or how I can spin this case, you know, in the real world of policemen's guidelines, etc. So yeah, so keep, you know, if you have any other inconsistencies, lay it on me.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, because in the script, you have the main character in Vegas and she gets sent to Boston. Can we skip that part and just start out in Boston, get right into Boston? I mean, the backstory can be that she's from Vegas and you know, for some reason she was sent to Boston and it wasn't her choice. And we could find throughout, you know, why that happened and so on and so forth. So I was just wondering if we could start out.
Well, see, something happens in the middle of the story where her former partner out of Vegas comes back and something happens. So I wanted to at least let the audience have a sense of who her partner is and his family, because there will be a connection. So, but I mean, that's a good point. If anybody else thinks I don't need the Las Vegas, I mean, I'm out here in Vegas, so, you know, so if we shoot it, you know, and I just had 2 Henderson policemen come by. There was an altercation in where I live, and so I was kind of questioning him, and he was so sweet, and he came in and we talked for a minute, and I was just kind of looking him over, and I was thinking about my screenplay. I was asking him questions, but again, if any of you other writers think it's too much, then you know, I agree with Kenyatta. We can just use it as her backstory and just boom, she's in Boston. So
I actually had written down that the scenes from mid-page 6 to mid-page 8 don't serve to move the story forward at all. It's just her hanging out with her former. Yeah. And you know, they do that a lot on like shows like CSI, where a newbie will come and the backstory or whatever happened in their last job, the reason that they moved, comes up in conversation. Sometimes even like subtextual dialogue. And it's really effective. I think that if you go that path, you might have a tighter story. And you'll, you know, we won't be so distracted with her pre-story and can focus more on what's happening in Boston.
awesome. Thank you for that, Irene.
Hey, Jeff, can we call the script up? I've just got a couple suggestions, Deborah, to keep
wonderful.
to keep your story moving a little faster. Page 15.
15?
Sorry about that.
No worries. Can you see it?
Yeah. Let's see. It's the this is the next scene.
The
Hold
next
on.
page.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Interior Morris's car.
Can you make that just a little bigger, Jeff? Is it possible? I mean, I can see it. I got to get closer to the screen.
You can actually.
You can bring up your own script if you want.
Okay, I can see it. I can see it. I just have,
See it? You
yeah.
sure? Try to zoom in.
I think
That's
if you
okay.
try, yeah.
Oh, there.
There you
Okay.
go.
Oh, that's cool.
The line where Crystal says more black folks have
Wait a minute. Oh, right. Okay.
right, have the waiter come by with the check, and he says, ready to start work. Get rid of that whole scene in the car. I don't think you need it, because you're going to go right, ready to start to work, and boom, you're at the Patterson house. I would get rid of that whole Detective
don't need
Morrison
it.
drive up. You don't need two detectives get out. Don't need it. Knock on the door. Don't need it. I would go right to ready to start work, and then cut to knock on the door.
Okay. Got it.
That'll speed it up a little bit. Right, you just cut to them knocking. Page 18.
Well, I have to zoom back. Page 18.
Right here, there you go. Yeah, exterior Patterson house front door. Morrison Johnson get into the car and drive off. You don't need it. It's slowing your story up. We'll call you if
Okay.
anything turns up. And then you just cut to them already in the car. And Crystal says, so what do you think? Oh, by the way, yeah. So what do you think? Honestly, I would get rid of all that. What do you think? Honestly, that's why I'm asking. Just say, according to our captain, Rosie was very reliable. She never, have that. You don't need all that before that.
Okay, got it.
I mean, nobody. What do you think? Honestly, yeah. That's why I'm asking. I don't think they'd say that. Yeah, just go right to,
According to the captain, blah,
yeah.
blah,
According
blah.
to the captain,
Okay.
Rosie was reliable. Right.
Got it.
Page 19.
Sorry, I'm annotating and scrolling at the same time. So
Hold on. Let's see. What do I have for my note? 19. Delete. I'll keep going. It's another exterior of Morris's car.
Exterior of Morris's car.
Hey, right there. Yeah. Right. Can go back up a little bit, Jeff, to 19, just for a second. Right. Okay, Mom, got your appointment. I'll pick up Robbie, right? And then I don't think you need the car pulling up. Nice. How? You can get rid of all that. Keep going, Jeff. Okay, hold on. Detectives arrive at the Payne house. You don't need it. I would just go right to the detectives right there with Mrs. Payne.
Okay, right in the house, right?
They're already there. Again, you want to keep things going. You don't need cars pulling up. You don't need cars leaving. This is just going to help you keep your story going and going. And right. Just kind of watch out for those things with people walking up to a door and knocking. Go right to the knock of them already inside. So you want to trim those scenes down a little bit, because it's just going to slow your story down a little bit. In your dialogue boxes, Detective Richard Morris, just say Richard, because again, it takes us longer to read that, and you want to keep your story going. I go with Crystal because we know it's Crystal Johnson.
Yeah, Kenyatta told me that, and it was so late trying to get rid of it. But he did tell me. So you are absolutely right. I love consensus, Steve.
Mrs. Payne is fine. Crystal, detective, unless Mrs. Payne has a first name. If she doesn't, that's fine. And my only other thing was the first page, way at the beginning, when you got these two masked men coming in.
Yes.
Okay, good. If you're going to say tall masked man, then in your dialogue it's got to be tall masked man.
Yes.
It can't be masked man one, or just say masked man one. A tall brute gets out first, and then it could be masked man one.
Yes.
exterior Lindsay Hudson's home. We don't know who Lindsay Hudson is, so it's got to be exterior home, you know, a beautiful home, and then 2 strangers. Are these the masked men?
Yes,
So again,
just name them. So you're saying to name them.
just say the masked men, because you've already introduced them earlier on as masked man 1 and masked man 2. So
Right.
now you can just say the 2 masked men walk up to a bright, right. Interior, again, interior Lindsay Hud. What room are we in?
When?
Interior Lindsay's Hudson's home.
Oh, okay. When you're saying which room, they're outside. Oh, it should be exterior.
Oh,
Ah,
well,
okay.
hold on. If it's exterior
Yeah,
and we're
have
seeing
interior.
her dash toward the front door, it's an interior.
Okay. Well, the front foyer, I mean, the front of the house. Are you talking about right here? I have exterior Lindy's house, and then I have 2 masked men. I'm already going to change that. Interior Lindy's house, nice. She early 30s. She watched towards the door. She's in the front. She's walking towards the front of the house.
Okay, the thing is, you just have to say interior foyer house, because we don't know we don't know it's Lindsay Hudson's house yet.
Got it.
Right? It's like who's Lindsay Hudson? Have we met her yet? Did I not see her name yet? And then again, one of the strangers, it's one of the masked men, or masked man 1 covers the peephole with his finger, as masked man 2 takes out an iron rod from underneath his jacket and bursts through the door.
Got it.
Again, just keep it consistent, because I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
So it was confusing reading that whole.
I was like, we have masked men, we have 2 strangers. Okay, are these happening at 2 different places?
Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that was good.
Right. Yeah, because
question about. Oh, Kenyatta, sorry.
Yeah, just real quick. I did give you that suggestion about the masked men, and to keep it consistent, because when you later you say 2 strangers, it did confuse me because I knew what was going on, but when you establish a character, you're basically renaming them when either they're going to be 2 strangers from the beginning,
right,
or they're be masked men in the beginning.
Right.
Don't check, because it's like that's like changing a name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that way you know you're consistent. You know it's the same people. Even though I understood what was going on, but still, just for the sake of this writing, that you should keep it consistent. So I'm agreeing with Stephen on that.
Absolutely.
And with all the character names too, like Crystal Johnson, I think Stephen mentioned that too. There's one you call it Crystal Johnson in one place, maybe Crystal somewhere else, maybe Detective Johnson. And when you change those names, it gets a little harder to follow everything. So consistency is really important.
Thanks for that, Gary.
In fact, the spelling of Crystal changes. I see 3 spellings.
No.
You have Crystal with an H, Crystal without an H, and then you refer to her short version as Chris, the short version for Christopher, but you could just use CRYS, which is, a shortened version of the word named Crystal.
That's why I'm here.
Okay.
That's great. Wow.
I mean, it's okay, like if characters will call, like the mother calls her Chris. So that's times you could change. I mean, if everybody else calls her Crystal, so you could have like her mother call her Chris.
Yeah, but I would spell it CRYS as compared to
I agree.
RIS. That would be.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, to make it more obvious for the reader. I mean, yeah, phonetically it's going to sound the same, but just for the reader, yeah, just to make it know that it's a shorthand for Crystal. Yeah, that'd make it easier. I agree.
On the note of characters too, I just had this side comment. You have one called Bill Murphy. It just sounds so close to Bill Murray. I just kept reading into that one. And it was bothering me for some reason. I don't know. It's just a side comment. But
hey, Barry, which one was that? What page was that?
Oh, it was in the law. I think it was the Name of the Vegas.
Oh, okay, the one that she had a problem with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that name was too close to Bill Murray?
For me, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Bill. You mean Bill Cranston, Barry? That one?
No, there's a big Murphy, I thought.
Really?
Oh, wait.
The guy in Boston.
Maybe it was a guy in Boston. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Page,
oh,
page
okay.
12.
Page
Bill
12.
Murphy
Page 12.
is the Boston captain.
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah. Oh, there's 2 Bill captains. Oh,
Two
that's
Bill characters.
Oh yeah, interesting point. Yeah, that's
Oh,
probably
wait a
something.
minute, there he is.
There
That,
it
you're
is.
right, you're right,
Bill
you're
Murphy.
right. Bill Murphy. You're saying you kind of changed it. It was like Bill Murray.
So both
That's-
captains are named Bill, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
I like it that there's a Cranston and a Murphy. So I didn't know if that, I thought that was just intentional that you're trying to draw off of like well-known actors.
Not really. I
Oh,
just
okay.
named them. No, I just named them.
Hmm.
Wow, you all are great. Oh my goodness. Can I just say this? I don't know if anybody knows Alexandra Piloff. She's been a consultant for 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 screenwriters in Hollywood, et cetera. And she came when I started the Las Vegas Screenwriters Group out here when I moved out here in 2006. And I'm just telling you, professional consultants that help you with your screenplay, they charge a lot of money. Steve, you can contest to that. They charge up. This is absolutely unbelievable, the feedback that you receive.
Well, yeah.
And we're talking
You
with
could-
notes.
Yeah,
so,
you could pay up to 900 or more.
oh,
you know,
more
yeah,
than
with
that.
easily.
Also
Yeah.
screenwriting contests too. You have to be, there are a few good ones, but you really have to be careful with those because you have to read the fine print to make sure that you still own the script after you've submitted it, even if it doesn't get picked up by anybody. Sometimes they just own it like outright. You just have to read the agreement for every single one of those. And to be honest, I've never really seen I know Rosa, you've done your own thing with the screenwriting contest. And that's great, but I've never seen the positives from doing that. I mean, if you get in the top 5, great. That gives you a lot of notoriety, and that's great. Rose has gone that route, and she's had a lot of success. But just and I haven't done that. I haven't done that route, but I've heard horror stories from other writers that have done that avenue. But yeah, just by and large, just be very careful whenever you submit a script. Of course, we're very inviting, but yeah, just whether that's a consultant or a screenwriting contest, be very careful, like who you're allowing to show your work. And that's why I'm always thanking people when they bring their work forward, because I know it's not an easy thing to have people look over the script and give feedback.
Right, but what I'm saying is this is such a valuable platform because the feedback that all of you have given me for this story is priceless.
Deborah,
Does anybody else have any more feedback? This is like,
I got one more.
would you be open to grammatical feedback?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, Stephen.
I'll go after you.
On page 17, top, Detective Richard Morris. Mr. Patterson, comma, I'm Detective Morris, comma, and this is my partner, Detective Johnson, period.
Can you pull that up, Jeff? Can you pull it?
Yep.
Okay.
So Mr. Patterson, comma, that's good. I'm Detective Morris, comma, and this is my partner, Detective Johnson, period. Capital, may we come in? Little stuff like that. And there's, let's see, on page.
I just found it. Can you go,
Oh,
Mr.
sure.
Patterson, comma, I'm Detective Morris, and this is my
Comma,
partner.
And this is my partner, Detective Johnson, period.
Mhm.
May we come in?
Oh, okay.
Capital M,
Got
may
it.
come in.
Yeah,
And then,
may we come.
yeah, and then
Absolutely.
and then on page 37, 5th dialogue down, Reggie Patterson, it says, in other words, it's none of my business. What you mean to say is, in other words, it's none of my
What
business.
page is that?
Page
30?
37.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a bunch more that I won't get into now, but it would be worthwhile to have somebody proofread. There's a difference between having dialogue be casual, because that's the way you want your characters to speak.
Right.
Certain things you want to make sure it looks like it's the character speaking that way and not a grammatical error by the author.
Okay, got it.
And so
be grammatically correct with these short sentences, but just make sure that it's readable.
Because yeah, it makes it harder to read when there's grammatical errors. I'm happy to like mark up the PDF and send it to you with what
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Some you may want to.
I did not put it through
make-
Grammarly. I didn't put it through. I have Grammarly, but I did not put it through like Alex did. I think Alex used Grammarly, which was great. But I didn't do that. So this is wonderful. If you have some others, I would definitely welcome the feedback.
Happy to send them along.
Yeah, thanks,
I
Gary.
have some things about
Just a quick question on what we're talking about here. So is this in the dialogue that's the issues with the grammar? Is that
That's
is that
what
what we're
yeah,
talking?
that's what Gary's pointing out. Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes, yeah, so I've hear all the time people say things that make mistakes, in grammar when they're speaking. So would that count in the dialogue?
I think it
Because
has to
one
do
thing you
with
have in there.
it's phonetically would be the same, but when you look at it on paper, you'd see the difference. So like the changes that I just mentioned, the first set of changes for Deborah in the first conversation, they're strictly grammatical. It'll read better, but it would sound exactly the same. So when you're shooting it, you're never going to know. But if you're reading the script, it matters.
It does, because what I think what Gary is mentioning, which I think is really important, if you give it to an actor, then, just like with that may I, that lets them know that this is another phrase. Is there a beat within that particular dialogue? But if you mish them all together without a preference to a comma or a period, I think it changes how the actor actually reads it. So I definitely agree with him that should be typed.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Okay, all right.
I'm going to say a few things about screenplay format. On page 19, we have a phone call. It's not set up if it's a one-sided with voiceover or if there's an intercut. Probably it's a voiceover. It just could be helpful if you put voiceover on it.
Oh yeah, where is that, Irene?
Page 19, starting at the second third of the page. So like, yeah, right there, Crystal phone rings. She picks up and then there's the phone conversation. But it's
okay. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because here I have the screenwriter's Bible, and it shows you how to intercut and write that. And I have to say that I should have followed that guy.
Well, you have to make a decision if you want it in intercut, and why would you want it in intercut? Why would you want to show Doris's side if you go that way? Or if you just want to put that it's, that we hear that cameras focused on Crystal and we just hear Doris talking.
But I think it would be important to see Doris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there should be an intercut in that particular instance.
Okay.
To show her mom.
On page 20, and I think this happened a couple of times, not just on page 20, but on page 20, when you're introducing Mrs. Payne, you don't have her in all caps, but you also don't describe her. I would love to know a little bit so that I can see the characters and their settings, because that's going to tell me a little bit about them without any kind of exposition. If I could just is she short and stocky? Is she tall, slender, and rich, and her nose is up in the air? Like whatever it is, I would love to know a little bit more about each character as they're introduced. It's not just Mrs. Payne; some of the other ones too. You could add a lot of joy in reading this and finding out who these characters are just for us as readers. If you just give us a few lines of description. And then the last thing I'm going to say, second to the last thing I'll say about format is watch out for your slug lines. There are some that are misplaced. There are some that are missing completely. So you change location and we don't know that except.
Where is that? I'm sorry, where is that, Irene?
Like on page 22, the detectives and Bunky are entering the front room. You'll need a slug line for that. On page 24, Crystal goes into Frederick Douglass School, but there's no slug line going from exterior to interior. I could send you my notes if you want.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd love that.
You can scratch, but I'll try. I'll try to make
No,
it
that's fine.
better.
But I have it here. So page 22 and page 24, no slug lines or scene description.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other thing, we had talked about it earlier about the names of the characters. What what program are you using?
I'm using Movie Magic, but what I did, I converted Movie Magic into Word. So, and started doing my revisions. So that's why some of this stuff was probably left out. Because I have one of my computers that has Movie Magic and the other doesn't. So when I start doing my edits, I just convert it from the Movie Magic to Word, to the Word format. And sometimes some stuff gets lost.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think about just downloading it or using another program that's online? I love Writer Duet.
Yeah, I use Writer Duet. I've used my daughter, she has Final Draft and she says, get rid of Movie Magic and do Final Draft. I don't see the difference, but I'm going to start, when I do my revisions though, I'm going to make sure that I start doing them right within the program, because when you convert, and this is a great thing for all writers, if sort of like an announcement, but if you are going to convert to Word, just make sure that you make all your revisions in the software application, because that's where, just like when I looked at it now and everything looks scrunched up. And one of the things that is really important for people when they start reading the script, that you have a lot of white spaces so that it's an easy read. So I will definitely make sure I make my revisions within the platform, the software.
Yeah, so because if you're not working in the software, you're actually giving yourself more mistakes to have to look over and revise later. But also it'll be easier to change your characters' names straight through once you're in a software program. Instead of doing like a search and find, you can just click on, change character name, and it does it throughout. The thing that I noticed, and that the reason I came up with that question last night, as I was reading it, is that sometimes when you have like a page cut, a page break, it doesn't show the name of the character. And this is something small, but it's important. It doesn't show the name of the character at the top. If their dialogue is broken into two pages, their name should still show up at the top of the second page, continued.
Right.
But it doesn't have that. So that must be from your Word program.
Yep.
Hey, Jeff, can we go to page 19, please?
When Steven's done another page, I have another page request too.
Okay, we do have to move on soon. So yeah, I'll let you and Gary, we have to move on to the next script.
This won't take long.
Okay. Page 19, you said?
Please. Okay, perfect.
Right there?
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see. Crystal Johnson, I think I can hold on, Mom. Crystal Johnson continued. Delete that and just say into phone, or you need some kind of, you don't want her to continue. I think I can. Hold on, Mom. ... Richard, I have to pick my sum up, okay? And then with Richard, do you want him to be a voiceover, or do you want to see him on screen?
That could be a VO, but I have to say that with the recommendation of my two colleagues, I cut out a whole, what is it, 6 or 7 pages where there was a scene with Doris, the grandmother, and the grandson at a school. And my colleague said, you don't need it. So that's probably why when I cut all that out.
I got you.
Okay. Yeah, but thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, just Richard voiceover or intercut phone conversation.
What page was that? Was that 19?
That's 19. Yeah, it's right after she talks to Doris.
Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
Deborah, would you please? Oh, do you have your email address here? Would you?
Oh, I can
email
put
address
Yep, in the chat. I sure will.
All right, Gary, do you want to, is there a specific thing you wanted to bring up? Gary?
Yeah, can you go to page 34?
All right.
Thank you. It's just a part of the dialogue that's outside the dialogue indentation. It should be part of the dialogue.
What part of it?
On page 34.
Yeah, middle or?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to show. The just above the line, the 5 chunks up from the bottom. Bunky's talking. She didn't. I found. Blah blah blah. Then it says Rosie then picked up her phone, smiled, and the 2 cars left at the same time. That should be part of Bunky's dialogue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, this part.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that.
That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Awesome.
All right. We do have to
Just
move
wanna
on.
say thank you. Thank you all. This was awesome. It was
We do have
absolutely
to move
awesome.
on, but yeah, again, I think we all like the story, Deb, but yeah, just a few formatting issues here and there. When you get down to the nitty gritty stuff like formatting and all that, you know, you have at least a good story that you've involved people in to notice these things. So yeah, I think, yeah, whenever you're free to give a revision of this or the whole or the continuation, well, I'm sure we'll be happy to have it back and have you preside over again.
Absolutely.
Okay. Last but not least, certainly not least, Stephen's script incision, whether you're reading it the whole thing or just the last act. And I think we're all familiar with how this goes. So we'll start with round 1. Anyone want to volunteer to start us off there?
Can I start?
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah.
I thought that the script was absolutely fabulous. It was just like watching a movie. Steve, you were so descriptive. It was so chilling. I was rooting for the right person, Jeremy. I wanted him to win. And towards the end, the revelation was absolutely stunning. I was in awe, and I said, oh my goodness, I said, this is the level that I need to stick with it. This is what happens when you stick with mastering your craft, man. This is the ultimate. I was right there, the description of your characters, the dialogue, the information, the authenticity of what happens with 2 detectives. It was just absolutely riveting. I mean, there isn't anything in the script that I could say, wow, I had a problem with. I just enjoyed immensely reading those characters, and it was such a real thing, such a unique spin on someone who has revenge, who keeps a grudge. You know, he went to an extent that was unbelievable. And I know that, the other writers are going to have more stuff that I'm probably going to agree with as well. But when are you going to produce it? When are you going to pitch it? When are you going to make it? That's my question.
When it's safe to, Deborah. When it's safe to.
I mean, I'm ready to watch this movie.
You had to read the whole thing, right? From all 93 pages?
Well, I did read the whole page. I read all of it. I read it all, right from the beginning to the end, even though I wasn't involved with the other part where people, probably read the first act, but it was stunning. And I wrote some other stuff down, but I'll probably think of some more stuff, but I totally enjoyed it. It was a wonderful, wonderful story, a different, unique spin on an area that we've seen. I mean, we've seen films where people do things like that, but yours was definitely unique. So
thank you. Thanks, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll echo everything Deborah said. I mean, overall, yeah, I only read the last act because I remembered the first 2. Definitely was really thoroughly engaging. You kept the pacing up throughout, which was very good. I especially love the action climax with how you describe the action and everything towards the end. That was all great. Overall, how it ended. I did like where you ended up, and I like the ambiguity of whether or not he was going to get back with Celeste. I do like that. I do appreciate that. And overall, I do like the script. But I'll have more to say a little bit more to say in the next round.
Thank you.
I thought the one part with the when he smashed the controller and there was nothing there, I was totally shocked. I didn't expect it. And it was kind of thrilling to see that there was nothing in there, but also very it just ramped up the emotions of the piece. I have been reading this as we've gone along. I just haven't been able to make the two past meetings. But I also love the script and I love the characters. I think you did a great job, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The third act here is my favorite. I agree with everyone. I enjoyed the fast pace and I loved all the descriptive action and I love how just everything that happens. And this is really so well written. My favorite part of the script is this last section.
It's mine too.
Just so good.
It's the payoff. Of course it's going to be. Yeah, it's the payoff and everything. So you have to nail
the
it.
description, the way it happens, he shoots and he misses him and the fire in it. I just really love it. The fire on the stairs and he comes to the fire. That's really
that's my favorite part.
That's so cool.
And he's still firing as he's burning up. He's burning to death. He keeps on firing.
That's great. That's great.
I love the lifeless body of Jeremy lying in the stairs, and then we come to know it's Roger wearing Jeremy's clothes, and he comes in. That was real clever. That is a switcheroo that I enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah, Stephen, I love the action scenes, and I love also the emotionalness of Dr. Prescott. I think it's great. I visualize this one particular actor, and I can't find his name, but I can just see it with his accent and everything, with the dialogue.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons. Let me see.
Yep,
He was the one I was thinking of when I wrote it.
There's someone exactly. Hold on.
You could do that. You could do it. Definitely. I see it.
I could definitely see him do it.
Oh yeah, that wasn't the guy I was thinking about, but that could totally. I could totally see that. Yeah.
Or Gary Sinise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. Good for round one. Once, twice. All right, on for round two. Needs for improvement, critiques, questions, etc. Anyone want to start us off there?
I just have one criticism. On page 65, it said make, and it should be wake.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Want me to bring it up?
Yeah, if you could. That was the, I think it was just instead of an M, it should have been a W.
Okay. On page 65.
But I don't think you probably have to bring it up. I'm sure Steve can grab it.
I got the note. Thank you.
Okay, you got the note. All right.
Sure. Thank you.
And the other thing is, when I thought it was genius, when at first I was saying, wow, I would have loved to know what the other, him giving the directions to Jeremy, Dr. Prescott. But then I said, no, that it didn't move the story forward. So I'm glad that there wasn't that, that conversation with Dr. Prescott telling Jeremy what to do. We just saw the outcome of it, except for the last one. So I was going to say, well, why couldn't we have privy to watch Dr. Prescott give him those directions for what he had to do? But then as I finished the story, I could understand why that was. So other than that, I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Stephen, I wish BT and Rob were here because I think they nailed it last time, and I think their criticisms still stand. I like the ending, but I think their criticisms still stand. That Jeremy, I know other people have liked his character. I don't really like Jeremy. And that's fine. I don't need sympathetic protagonists all the time. I don't need likable people, but I do need someone who's compelling. And you do get a little bit of that in the end with he's being more resourceful and he's showing off like how he can be how he can outsmart Dr. Prescott in the end. But you need a little bit more of that throughout the script rather than just all at the end, because Jeremy is just a wet blanket through the first 3/4 of the script. I just don't know why I'm rooting for this guy. And I get a little bit at the end, but again, I need a little bit more from the first 3 acts in order to really make me fall. And I wish BT and Rob, I hope you took down all their notes.
Oh, I did. I'm going to
because I
incorporate a lot
think
of them.
they nailed it together. I think you either need to make Dr. Prescott the protagonist, and Jeremy comes in as the puppet, and you're sort of you're not you're not rooting for Dr. Prescott, but he's so compelling in how he goes about his diabolical nature that you just have to watch him, especially if you get Jeremy Irons to do it. He could really, he could really do wonders with this role. But again, I think revision. My personal opinion, and I agree with Rob and BT. Make Prescott the protagonist and have us. Have us spool out the story through his point of view. I think that's my main point.
And the opening scene is him going into an operating room drunk.
Yep.
And with a scalpel, and he's starting to cut open somebody, and he's drunk.
And also, I don't remember. Was there any illusion that Jeremy dated Dr. Prescott's daughter? Was there any? No, there was no illusion
until the 3rd act when we see.
Until the 3rd act button.
But we do hear about the cops saying, "Oh yeah, nothing happens in this town except for that one summer where this gal hanged herself in the garage." And that was
so that's the only illusion. You need something a little bit more than just again, I wish Rob and BT were here. You need to have something a little bit more than just that 3rd act reveal. Like you need to have it needs to be little sprinklings of that beforehand, because otherwise it's all just one exposition dump at the end and you don't get that real emotional connection to what Dr. Prescott especially with everything that Dr. Prescott is doing. Again, I think he's the most compelling character in the script, but having a more emotional thrust to the whole thing, rather than it all being dumped on us right at the end, would really help out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Jeff said. One thing I've written down is the protagonist should fight throughout. So since the film is Jeremy was Dr. Prescott, but Jeremy easily surrenders to the premise of the film. He's not really trying to his own ways to remove the bomb. He's even in the shower after his jacket burns out. He's like, should have, he's more, cursing himself because he could not finish the level or the task. So I think Jeremy should be, trying to remove the bomb himself and being unsuccessful, obviously. So, but we should see him trying though throughout the film. And again, to add to what Jeff said, the thing about him dating his daughter, there could be a parallel between how does it feel to have something inside of you, ticking, and that could be an allusion to his the child inside his daughter. I
love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, that's definitely a good one. Yeah, but make it more. Like push that. Yeah, push that illusion throughout the script. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, ideally he foreshadows. Yeah, ideally he would foreshadow that throughout the script. And Jeremy doesn't crack it. Until the last scene where like which works very well according to me. The one where he finds out that it's about his daughter.
Some of the more intriguing scenes and actions by Dr. Prescott are when he does things that are evil, and very evil and offhand, instead of just when he's making this huge plot. And it kind of just shows how wicked he is and how hard he's turned from his trauma. Like when he goes to hit Jeremy's hand with a knife as he's grabbing, trying to grab for the detonator on that cutting board, or when he's poisoning his delivery man or the guy that was dealing with the money. These little things that are, you know, kind of make our hearts sink. I would love to see them more throughout, because that would be making Dr. Prescott more prominent if you want to go with him as the protagonist. And it's going to make your scripts be a little bit more like unexpected. It's very unexpected right now, but we expect that Dr. Prescott is just focused on Jeremy. He has grand plans, and otherwise he's just, you know, a guy cooking his potatoes or whatever. No, he's awful throughout, and it comes out in these really tiny evil actions that he does.
There's that scene in the park where a ball comes by with little Freddie. Maybe something could be done there, because Freddie looks at him and is just petrified.
Yeah,
And
but
he's trying to-
then he leaves, right? He doesn't talk to him.
Maybe I'm going to add something there before Freddie's mother comes over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with everyone's comments. I think we have to feel more bad for whoever the protagonist ends up being, whether it's the Dr. Prescott. I think it's a great idea for protagonist, because I think Jeremy just keeps kind of doing jerky things throughout the entire script. I don't feel a lot of sympathy for him at the end. But if it's all about Dr. Prescott, you know, I want to see the arcs there.
I like it. Yep. No, Dr. Prescott is definitely, I've decided he is the protagonist.
Also, Christoph Waltz was the guy I was thinking about.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. Well,
What
Jeremy,
was that name again? What was that name again?
Christoph Waltz, Inglourious Bastards,
Okay, gotcha.
Hans Landa.
Water for Elephants.
There you go. Most famous role, obviously. Water for Elephants. No, yeah.
VJ, you just gave me a great idea. I mean, and Irene too. I mean, the Freddie in the park, right? And the little kid comes over. I mean, I could hear Dr. Prescott say, "Don't you want to hug your daddy? Come here, son. I'm your dad." I mean, just mind fuck the little kid. And he goes, and he runs off screaming or something. Or, "Don't you want to say hi to your daddy? I'm your daddy. Didn't mommy ever tell you?" I mean, just those little things, right? Oh yeah.
Or how about this, even to just make him more compelling, like in that scene, like you think something bad is going to happen, like because this ball rolls right next to Dr. Prescott, and the kid is going for it, but no, he's actually very sweet, and then he just says, "Oh, you're what position do you play?" or something like that. He's being very sweet and everything. It just gives another layer to him. I mean, I'm fine with him being diabolical all the time, but I might also be with a more like complicated character.
I will have him right now asking the kid, "So what position do you play?" Or
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can just keep on you can even make him, you can just keep ramping up the tension. Oh, what's going to happen? And then it's just like, no, he was just wanted to talk to the kid because he never got the chance with his grandson, potential grandson.
Mm.
Sometimes that could be even creepier, depending on how you set it up.
I like Dr. Prescott just holding the ball and saying, "If you want your ball back,
Well, yeah.
come get it.
Mm-hmm.
Come
Come
get
give
it.
me a kiss.
Come get it. Yeah.
Come to me. Yeah, come get it. Come get it."
But then you diffuse it by just having him just like toss the ball or something like that.
Right. Then when his mother comes by,
Yeah, mother comes by or
and
something.
then he goes, tosses it.
Then you could have the mother say, "Oh, don't talk to strangers" or something like that. Yeah.
Right. "Oh, you have such a nice son. He's so friendly to me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the kid's just freaking out.
There you go. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, I was happy he didn't deflate the ball or something, because that would have been pretty silly, you know.
That'd be too like cartoonish.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the side, I also did have one question about Dr. Prescott. How does he know everything? I mean, it seems like, well, I guess you'd explain how he knows some of the things in the background, but it seems like he always knows about the present events going on with Jeremy. Like he's almost got like a bug inside him or something.
He knows that Jeremy's wife, Celeste, is in Magnolia visiting her parents. What else does he know? That's the only thing that comes to mind.
Okay, well, I would like to look at some details.
Okay.
I feel like he knew they had a date planned or something like that.
I'm sorry, what was that, Irene?
I feel like he knew that Jeremy and his wife had a date planned. And he said, okay, take the weekend off. You and your wife are going out somewhere. That was
Oh.
like earlier.
Okay.
Well, I'm probably going against the grain, but I still like Jeremy's character because he's such a wimp, you don't expect him to arrive at that climax the way he does. And so it's like a total surprise, rather than being empathetic to, to the audience. Because, there are some scenes where he is a jerk, but I just like the fact that some of the things that he does towards the end, it was totally surprising. So I'm probably the only one who thinks that, Steve, but I just like his character and how you characterized him, because I was totally blown away at the end.
Yeah, I was intentionally making him weak, just so it's like when you've got nothing to lose, you're going to go nuts. And there was a Peter Fonda movie about that, this mild, meek guy, or Straw Dogs with Dustin Hoffman. When you push even the nicest guy too far,
Well, yeah.
they'll just rip you apart.
Well, the problem is, at least just for me and a few others, I didn't get Jeremy as a nice guy. Like he comes off more like, again, Celeste has seen him like go back to drinking. He's violent, and he's also can't hold down a job. So I'm with Celeste on this one, just leaving his ass. Like it's because he hasn't shown me like, and yes, he's under duress and all that, but
usually those experiences change you as a human.
Right. Yeah.
So and I'm sure that he probably will be different after. It's like if Steve had a sequel too, how would Jeremy be?
A pussycat.
So.
I think it's interesting that a lot of people have a lot more. I guess they like Prescott a lot more, and people calling Jeremy a jerk and he's unlikable. But here you have Prescott. You have this guy torturing people and doing all these, violent acts, or this. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's beyond my explanation of why we find all these diabolical characters. We went over it a few weeks ago. Hannibal Lecter, the Joker, like all these like essentially protagonists, but they're awful. They're awful people. They're awful human beings. They do awful stuff to other people, but they're so compelling. Like, and that's beyond that's beyond my being able to explain like why we find all these characters like compelling. Even though we have a great ostensibly a great guy to root for, but we just I wouldn't say sympathize, but we find the villains compelling.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, Jeremy. Okay, he goes back to drinking. I work with people who are doing drugs and drinking and all that. That doesn't necessarily make them jerks and bad people. It's some people call it a disease, some people call it a sickness. It's an addiction. So I just think it's interesting. People find that as an undesirable trait. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm kind of like on the same page as Deborah. I'm not seeing this guy like you guys are seeing him. I mean, just because he's going back to drinking and he's under duress, I just think it's interesting.
That was my intention originally. Here's a guy who's been sober for a year. He's got a good job. He's trying to get back to his wife, and all of that unravels. All of it.
Yeah. So to me, I would think that
he does become a jerk, but that's not his true nature. That's who he used to be back in his party days with the boys, and he's breaking out of that.
So basically, he's not naturally a jerk. It's just like sometimes people change when they drink. So that's how I got it. I don't know if that was your intention.
That was,
but
the drinking is helping him. He's drinking to cope, but at the same time, to cope, it's making him a little crazier.
Well, see, yeah, I'd be all for rooting for that Jeremy, but I wasn't getting that from this version of it. Like, I wasn't feeling drama. like every single time when he did something bad, like I don't know, when he spray painted the house, or he did something, there's just no remorse. There's no, yeah, there's no instance where it felt that he was very conflicted about, and you know, that's fine. You know, he's again under duress, but at the same time, if this isn't his true nature, then you have to show the conflict.
You know what?
At least I wasn't getting that.
If one line, he just says before he does it, "God, I'm sorry," or something. I mean, just show some kind of remorse or something.
I need more than just
okay.
If that is, you know, you can write another version, I guess, where if you want to keep the Jeremy as the protagonist. But yeah, I need more like conflicts with Jeremy, you know, to help. Again, we mentioned it, that there's just an imbalance right now, and who's really driving the story.
Yeah, I was going to say something about imbalance and use that very word, Jeff. I like the idea that this poor guy, you know, has the bomb, and but your evil character is very, very evil, but Jeremy is not very, very good. So he's good, but he's not such a good person that he's not as much a good person as your bad character is a bad guy. So I think that's the only thing. So I think if you raise, just show, so if you want to, it's nice to keep him as protagonist, Jeremy, but show maybe a little remorse, or a little something just to up it. So
I love it. If I make him a better person, then when he falls, the fall is even, it's bigger than it was before.
Like I said,
we see the alcoholism, how it does affect.
Yeah, exactly.
It does affect some people really hard.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just got my 26th anniversary of my job, and I had a lot of experience with people with addictions, and it's like night and day when they're sober compared to when they fall off the wagon and they're in their addiction. They act completely different. They're a completely different person. It's kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yes. Let me suggest one thing, and I had this, and I haven't written it yet, but I'm thinking at the opening, we're going to show Dr. Prescott being drunk and going into surgery, and that's what gets him fired. I'm more and more liking the idea of Jeremy going to an AA meeting, and maybe it's his 6 month sobriety, and maybe he gives his little speech, and then there he can talk about how alcohol almost ruined his life.
That's an excellent idea.
You know what? And that way he's come 6 months. We're rooting for him. You know, he's trying to get his life together, and then we watch it totally fall apart.
And let me tell you something. A lot of people with addictions, there's a lot of pain there. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And they're not doing this on purpose. It's like something just takes over them, and it just takes so much in them to. It's like it's a ongoing thing. Once they're an addict, even when it could be sober for 40 years, but they're still an addict. They have to work on it every single day. And like I said, there's a lot of pain, and I've seen people lose marriages, and I've seen people lose their life, their properties, their business, and you know, sometimes they hit rock bottom. So if you want Jeremy to be more sympathetic, we have to see that. So that suggestion you just made for yourself, that's an excellent start.
I love it. And he can thank his wife for putting up with him through all the problems, and she's there in the audience. So now we get a sense that she's supporting him, and she knows the history of his, you know, him booze. Maybe it's a year. I'm going to have him be sober for a year.
Yeah, but doesn't he show that remorse when his wife doesn't want to talk to him and he cries? I don't know, that crying, maybe being remorseful. I mean, that's shown, isn't that in the screenplay, or am I reading a different script?
He's drunk and he goes to her father's house, and he's demanding to
Yeah.
see her, and then the brother comes out with a gun.
Yeah.
I love that scene, and he's drunk, and the father says, "You're drunk. Go home. Get out of here." So I think when he's crying, I think he's already starting to drink. But maybe I'm going to make that more clear about his drop into
I love
booze
the
again.
idea. I love the idea about the AA meeting, and
I like that, and we like him. He's struggling. It's a year. People are clapping. He's been sober a year.
Also,
His marriage is back on track.
Right. You also just have that juxtaposed with your opening for Dr. Prescott. So have the two storylines.
Yes. Cut back and forth with Prescott drinking.
Well, not even just cutting back and forth, but just have them one after the other.
Yeah.
Or,
Okay.
So you set who these people are right at the beginning.
I love it.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, I think that will do wonders for this.
Right. Prescott's life is going downhill. Jeremy's is going uphill. And then all of a sudden that twist. Love it.
Yeah, I love the AA idea. Maybe Jeremy could say, the backstory could be that Jeremy was in his drunken stupor responsible for Stella's miscarriage. So that's his.
Oh, okay. I'm writing it down.
Excellent idea. Excellent.
Whoa, that's really good.
But this puts Jeremy at the origin of all the issues in the entire movie, which is going to be hard making him a protagonist if he is the source of every single bad thing of the movie. But that's going to be.
I guess that's what they call the flaw, right? The fatal flaw that he has to overcome.
That's why I always feel bad about Dr. Prescott, because Jeremy left his daughter's, pregnant daughter, just left her behind.
But he didn't.
Over that one.
Jeremy didn't know. Jeremy didn't know if it was his, because she had been dating all sorts of other guys.
But don't you think though he would at least try to know if it was his or not, since it's a good chance it was his? That's a total,
I agree.
move to do that.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah, but
that.
he was he was young though.
Yeah.
I mean, how many guys get girls pregnant and and they don't know if they're the father, especially if the woman doesn't come forward. I mean, they were kids.
Yeah,
They were young.
if the relationship
So
ends.
I don't.
What if he didn't know that she was pregnant?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
wondering.
think that'll
too.
probably be better.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going with that. Yeah.
okay. I
Again,
like that.
Yeah, especially
That's a good one.
He didn't know she was pregnant. I love it.
especially relationships in your early 20s. Yeah, how often do you check back in with the person that you were previously with? Yeah.
Oh, ready? Jeremy says, I broke up with her. And he says, how could you break up with someone who was carrying your baby? What baby? There you
Yeah, it
go.
makes him a lot less.
There you go.
What kind of man breaks up with a woman who's carrying his child? I love that.
And that's an upbringing of the father. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but she wasn't strong enough. I mean, how many women, come on, the women on this panel, how many have been left or know of other people that have been left that have been pregnant? They don't commit suicide. So that's a weak character on her behalf.
She was weak, yes, agreed. Because they went on a few dates and she came back and said, oh, I found my knight in shining armor. I love him. I love it. And Jeremy's like, yeah, we had a good time, but that's it. So she fell hard for Jeremy.
Right.
She fell real. Yeah, she fell
Yeah.
hard. It was just a fling for Jeremy, but they were gonna get married. I love it. Good.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea, like someone else suggested, if that is foreshadowed just a little in the beginning and middle of the story.
I will. I like the whole thing that DJ said about, how does it feel to have a bomb ticking inside you? Sort of like being pregnant, right?
Yeah,
There
that
you
was
go.
a good comparison.
Like it's just like being pregnant. And we're like, wait, what's going on? And maybe if there's a few more of those references later, I'll bring them
Yes,
throughout.
just put them in,
Great
put them
notes.
in throughout, and then it's one of those things you can connect them when the bomb hits, so to speak. Yeah, when it finally hits. Oh, now I understand the context behind all this.
Love it. Bomb and pregnancy. Great notes, everyone. Thank you.
Maybe I missed it, but I still don't know. I haven't figured out the use of the other two guys, like Mr. Shank and Mr.
I'm going to change their names. What they do is they go find people to chloroform, bring back to the house, so Dr. Prescott can harvest their organs and live the life he's accustomed to. Because he doesn't have a job. I was going to ask everyone, should that be clear that he's making all of his money now through organs, black market organs?
I think that's clear. I think that's
Okay.
good. I mean, he has
Yeah,
boxes,
thanks.
you know, in the basement that are been opened up. So I think, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
What-
And he's getting a lot of money for organs. Okay.
Probably helping out Deborah's Deborah's murderer in Black.
I know, that's why I like your organ transplant element. I said, I got that too.
There you go, shared universe.
Crossover.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you, everyone. These are awesome notes.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for Stephen? Once, twice. All right. Yeah. Again, so overall, I think we all like the script. Just go. I think just another revision or two, and I think you really have something that might even be just up for just going right to production. Because I think definitely, as always, you're always a great storyteller. But,
Thank you.
Yeah,
And I love the fact that Dr. Prescott is going to be our protagonist,
Mhm.
and he's the puppet who's just pulling all the strings.
right. Okay. Very nice. All right.
Yeah, it's basically, you know, a fellow who fights and sings, trying to succeed in his musical career and not, you know, be too devoured by the violence that he lives in and is surrounded by. I just made that up right now, right this moment.
There you go. No.
Okay.
Good. Good.
Gary, two questions you want to always be asking is, what does your character want, and what's stopping your character from getting what he wants? Just remember those two questions as you put together your screenplay, and that's your spine of your story right there.
Sure.
What does he want, and why can't he get it?
And for me, so I know what he wants, and he's, you know, working towards getting it. And he comes across a potential love interest on the way that he's not interested in romantically, but there's some, you know, drama. You got to have the beautiful woman, you know, in the script somewhere, right? So, so I've already developed how they've met, and then he sees her and doesn't realize it's her at first. And he realizes who she is, blah, blah, blah. And that's actually what I'm working on right now. Their first, he delivers meals to her grandmother, like Meals on Wheels. He delivers to her grandmother, and he passes her in the hallway, and she just looks angry, right? He doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know who he is. And then later on, he bumps into her in a bar. Some guy goes to punch her, and he stops her. He stops the guy, and then he realizes who she is, and she realizes who he is. And now they're just about to start to talk. So that's kind of where I'm at in the storyline, but that's kind of the dramatic side of things. It's not necessarily, they both love to sing. That's a common interest they share. And it turns out that she might have some fight experience too, but I haven't figured out where I'm going to go with that just yet. But I want it to be an action movie, but I want it to be dramatic. I want it to be a dramatic movie with a lot of action, kind of like, one of my all-time favorite movies is a movie called Warrior. You know, it's a fight movie, but it's really a drama, you know, and they do a fantastic job developing the characters, you know, Nick Nolte, Joel Edgerton, Tom Hardy, you know, they get some big names, and it's an actual A-grade movie that happens to involve MMA fighting. And so I'm kind of trying to go that route. I want it to be a quality storyline that still has a lot of action.
Did you read the script?
Pardon?
Did you read the script to that movie?
Oh, have I read the script for Warrior? No, I haven't.
Yeah, I would recommend that. Like, I noticed, like, anything that you write, and you're thinking about movies, I'll also recommend reading the scripts. I mean, as writers, we should be reading scripts all the time anyway. Produce scripts, I mean, and I would recommend that. And I did see Warriors, and it was a good movie.
Yeah,
Warriors is an excellent movie. Yeah. For just a general, you can mostly find scripts of movies produced, you know, from all the way back from a couple years ago. New releases, it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, you can mostly find them available online. I can share it with you, Gary. I just found this, just read this by quick Google search about the Warrior script. Yeah, if there's this movie that you're trying to aspire, that inspires you, yeah, it's a good idea just to read the script and to see how they did it. And of course, sometimes the shooting script came out much differently, and it's always interesting to see the differences there, see what they changed throughout the shoot.
Got it. Downloaded it. Thank you.
So have so this is just still an idea, or have you written any like pages or written an outline?
I've got 3 pages, dense page, well, 2.5 pages of scenes, which I think would probably be about, I'm guessing roughly 15 pages of screenplay.
Okay.
That's just rough, totally rough guess.
Okay, sure.
But it's completely unformatted. You know, it's really just documenting scenes right now to have the whole storyline. And I just want to make a storyline that's not cliche, it's not completely predictable, with likable characters. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And there'll be a lot of original music in it too, which is kind of the fun part, which is what turned my friend on to the whole concept, because the old idea was that we might be able to do it as an independent film, and have it go to festivals as a way to get his music out there too.
Nice.
So it's just, it's kind of an interesting project.
Very nice. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
No, yeah. Whenever you're ready to submit it, yeah, I'm sure we'll be happy to take it up. That's definitely, it sounds interesting. A mishmash of musician fight fight movie. I'm very curious to see how that would turn out. But, yeah. So
Bye, guys.
have a good
Nice meeting everyone. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.